Senegal's president, Bassirou Diomaye Faye, arrived in Kenya's Lower Eastern region on the morning of October 20th. On paper, it looked like just another presidential visit, but it wasn't. Those of you who have followed me for a while know that I give praise when it's due and criticism when it's earned. I applauded President Faye when he stood firm for African dignity. But I also called him out when he invited Trump to build a golf course in Dakar.
I was wondering what your secret was for resolving all these complex crises, and I know you are a tremendous golf player. Golf requires concentration and precision, qualities that also make for a great leader. Senegal has exceptional opportunities to offer, including in the area of tourism. So perhaps an investment could be made in a golf course in Senegal. It would just be 6 hours by flight from New York, from Miami, from Europe, or from the Gulf, and that would be an opportunity for you to show off your skills on the golf course too. Thank you for your attention, sir.
And when he flew all the way to Paris for yet another sit-down with Macron, the very symbolism of the patronage politics that has crippled Africa for decades. Today, I have both praise and criticism for his visit to Kenya. But first, let's listen to parts of his speech.
Ladies and gentlemen, members of the Kenyan government, honorable members of the National Assembly and Senate.
I love that he spoke to Kenyans in a language that they understood. That alone was powerful because language is connection, and these should challenge all of us Africans. English speakers must learn French. French and Portuguese speakers must learn English. But above all, let's give serious consideration to Julius Malema's idea that all Africans should learn Swahili. Indeed, we must all learn Swahili and other major African languages. Swahili is a Bantu language with some Arabic influence. It carries both rhythm and familiarity. It could be our continental heartbeat. When President Faye greeted Kenyans in Swahili, the people applauded happily.
Habari za asubuhi.
It reminded me of Mandela's words. If you talk to a man in a language he understands, that goes to his head. But if you talk to him in his own language, that goes to his heart. Okay, let's watch the speech some more. President Faye said something very important about African heroes.
Before I begin, I would like first to take this opportunity to renew the heartfelt condolences of the people of Senegal to the brotherly people of Kenya and the passing of Mr. Raila Odinga, a former Prime Minister and a great leader in the political history of Kenya.
He paid tribute to Raila Amolo Odinga, the 8-year-old son of Kenya and son of Africa, who passed away in India on October 15th. He was laid to rest on Sunday, October 19th. I pray for the day when no African will have to fly abroad for treatment, when quality healthcare will be accessible to every single African in Senegal, in Kenya, and across this great continent. President Faye built that healthcare system in Senegal. President Ruto do the same in Kenya, because 99.9% of Africans cannot afford treatment overseas. They deserve quality medical treatment right here in Africa. Back to President Faye, talking more about African heroes.
Our heroes deserve all honors. They deserve our respect. They deserve our admiration. The celebration of Kenyan heroes who risked their lives fighting for the independence of their country is a great tribute that commands respect and pride. Long live the memory of Kenyan heroes. Long live the memory of African heroes.
Let me mention at this stage that October 20th is a national holiday in Kenya. It's known as Mashujaa Day, Swahili, Heroes Day. Let's celebrate not just national heroes, but African heroes. From Sankara to Lumumba, from Traore to your own father and mother. Tell us in the comment section who your African heroes are. Please tell us how they have shaped your journey, your life. Because honoring heroes is remembrance, and it's about who we are as Africans. Back to President Faye. He said something that Tanzanians will probably find very controversial and downright inaccurate. But I beg to differ.
I would like to thank President Ruto for the warm welcome and all the attention we accorded to me and my delegation since our arrival in this brotherly country, home to the wonders of Masai Mara and Kilimanjaro.
As you've heard, he said that Kenya is home to Masai Mara and Mount Kilimanjaro. Some say that is false, but the truth is deeper than geography. In 1890, Britain and Germany drew arbitrary lines through East Africa, trading territories like commodities. Britain took Uganda, while Germany claimed the slope of Kilimanjaro. Those lines still stand, even though they slice through shared heritage and shared ancient homelands. The truth is this: Kilimanjaro's grandeur belongs to Africa, not a flag. We must decolonize our minds from my country first to my continent first. For Kenya is home to Kilimanjaro, just as Tanzania is home to Mount Kenya. Both rise for Africa, from Kilimanjaro to Mau Mau.
The members of Mau Mau National Liberation Movement suffered fierce repression at the hands of those whose sole aim was to perpetuate the colonial order.
President Faye was right to speak about the Mau Mau. Their story should be taught across Africa. They fought a guerrilla war that the British could never ever fully defeat. Yet, after independence, the land that they bled for was stolen by a corrupt ruling elite. That story and others like it must be told accurately through African eyes.
The full story must be recalled. These valiant sons and daughters of Africa must be celebrated, because celebration is an educational tool in the transmission of our values and virtues.
President Faye's call to integrate African history into our school curricula is spot on. From primary to university, students in Kenya should learn about Senegal's history, and Senegalese students should learn about Kenya's history. The same applies to all Africans. We must learn about each other's history, not just from search engines or AI chatbots, but in our classrooms, our television screens.
Colonial repression was not an isolated case in Kenya. We suffered the same in Senegal, where anti-colonial national resistance movements blossomed against the European imperialist powers' offensive in Africa. Our fellow countrymen suffered unspeakable repression. For instance, on December 1944 at Charoy Black Barracks, innocent and unarmed Senegalese riflemen, with their brothers in arms from other African countries, were massacred by the colonial power. Their only crime was to demand the payment of their allowance, bonuses, and other entitlements.
Every African should know about the Senegalese riflemen who fought in foreign wars for causes that were not their own. We must remember them, and we must scale these remembrance efforts across Africa, because that's how we decolonize education and reclaim our story. Now, I have criticized President Faye's frequent travels before, but this particular trip mattered. Africa must bridge the Francophone-Anglophone divide, and such visits are vital steps in that direction. But let them lead to something tangible: massive exchange programs, student mobility, cross-border residences. The more Africans visit one another, the more Pan-Africanism becomes not just an idea, but a lived experience. I'll end with a short video from my good friend Lisa, a Kenyan living and working in Uganda.
For me, as a Kenyan living in Uganda, actually the word that I can describe that with is home. I have never, to be honest, I've never felt like I'm in a different country in quotes, because one, Ugandans are very kind people, and secondly, they have reminded me of how an African I should be. I really appreciate how their culture is very rich, and it's just the Ubuntu that makes it to be such a home here, and the community has never made me feel like a foreigner. In my opinion, the boundaries that we have are just imaginary, but we are all just by the same Africans, yeah.
We need many more Lisas, millions of them, Africans visiting Africa, working across borders, living in other African countries. We need cars, buses, trains, planes, even bicycles, crossing borders to connect hearts, to connect Africans. Yes, flights are expensive and roads are bad. Routes are absurdly circuitous. Often, a Ugandan traveling to Senegal has to pass through Europe. Intra-Africa travel challenges abound. But none of that will change unless we experience it, address it, and consistently make it an electoral issue. Bon voyage, President Faye. Pass our greetings to Prime Minister Ousmane Sonko and the amazing people of Senegal. We are cheering you on as you prepare for the World Cup. I pray that Senegal or any African country will finally lift that cup. Whatever you do, President Faye, don't betray the revolution that lifted you into the presidency. My name is DJ Bwakali, and Africa is my superpower.